Blog Talk Radio.
Hey, this is Cosmic Currents, and I'm CJ Miller, and I'm here with my co-host, Helene Lipson, and we're teaming up to bring you the latest news, opinion, and wisdom from the waves of information entering our collective consciousness at this time. Helene, are you with us?
I sure am. Hi, CJ.
Great. Hey.
I'm so excited to do this show again with you.
Yeah, me too.
It's been an interesting time lately. I tell you, as an astrologer, I can't help but follow what has been happening lately. First, with this giant solar eclipse we had on May 20th. That's what kicked it off. And that opened us up to a new eon or a new age. And this was a transit. I don't know if you realize it. It was the first time in 26,000 years that we were lined up with Pleiades, the sun and the moon and Pleiades. And we had a solar eclipse. And this has been an incredibly powerful time, taking us all the way to this big full Sagittarius moon that happened on June 4th. And that was like all the truth was coming out, bringing the truth out. And then finally, we kicked into these Venus transits. And that was the 5th and 6th. And that is pretty major. The Venus transits happen about once every 130 years. The last time it happened, it was 1874. The next time it's going to happen, it's 2117. And what that is, the Venus transits are really bringing us into the divine feminine. It's reintroducing us to being in the heart and embracing our feelings and looking within. It's a very intense time for people, absolutely intense time for people. So, you know, what is actually fascinating is here we're in the middle of it right now, and it's a great time to talk about it. I don't know, for some of our listeners that don't know what the divine feminine is, it's about coming and moving into the heart. It's about moving out of duality consciousness. It's about looking at what is right now and feeling it. I bring on all these astrological transits, but I saw on Laura Magdalene Eisenhower's Facebook wall, DJ, that there was a meeting with the Bilderbergs. The Bilderbergs even chose this transit to meet right now.
Wow, you know, I think I heard that. I think I heard about that from Neil Kramer, that was going to be happening soon. And so it happened last week. I didn't even realize. It's such an amazing time. Yeah, I mean, you know, thank God that you're such a great astrologer, and I rely on you to give me all the information. But I've definitely noticed a big shift. And as you said, it's the time we're shifting into the divine feminine, which is what I understand is that that's the place of the heart. And so we're coming out of our head, the mind, the more masculine side, and we're going into our hearts, which is more about intuition and trusting that inner voice. That's a real challenge. I do notice that it seems a little easier to differentiate what the messages from my inner self or my heart are from maybe ego messages. And it does seem to be, is that something that's happening now, that would actually be easier for people to plug into their intuition at this time?
I mean, I feel like for some people, they are getting closer and closer. I think it's a time of releasing some of the emotions that they've been holding on to. I think a lot of people have these unresolved issues, whether they're triggered off by feelings of shame or whether they're triggered off by feelings of abandonment, or whether they're triggered off by feelings of not being good enough, whatever their pattern is coming out more and more now, so that it can be seen and released and, brought into the light and finally released once and for all. Because as long as we can feel ashamed, as long as we can feel wrong and right, good and bad, they're all part of this old paradigm and this duality consciousness where we are stuck in all the shoulds. I should be doing this, and I should be doing that, and I should be doing this, and I should be doing that, and this is, and I should have done this, and I wish I did that, which is all feelings of regret, which is all feelings of regret about things. So it's an interesting, it's actually a fascinating time to be alive at the change of an eon. There's something to it. It's amazing that the Bilderberg meeting, that the Bilderbergs, some of the most powerful people who use the energy of the mystical energy and the cosmic energy to create, even if it's not for the light side, even if it's for the dark side, they are still using that energy. They're using what they know. This is a very powerful time. So what we believe is what we create, and we're doing it right now. So if we feed into our anxiety right now, we're manifesting it even quicker. They knew that. That's why they decided to get together and manifest. Right.
And so to explain to people who maybe don't know about the Bilderbergs, are they like the heads of all the industry?
The head of all the industries. It's really the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, and some of the most powerful families. It also includes now, what's the name of the guy who did Facebook? Oh, Mark, some of the leaders of Google, and the head of all kinds of other industries. And, of course, many of our political heads, our figureheads, are also included and invited. And together, they get together and they manifest and they plan for our economic, political, and corporate future. They're actually setting up what's going to be happening in our economy. But I had seen another video on YouTube. Alex Jones was there and a whole bunch of other people, and they had signs up, and I don't think that had happened in previous years. I think it was much more secretive, and I think it was much less infiltrated by the general public. The fact that Alex Jones and a whole bunch of other reporters were there, and they were like almost as they had this shot with one of the Rockefellers coming in a car, and everybody was like, "What are you planning? What are you planning for us?" It was like, wow. I think more and more people are recognizing what's going on. And the people that are not recognizing what's going on, CJ, they are definitely, things are coming to a head for them in other directions, too. They know they're uncomfortable. They just don't know why. They think maybe it's their job, maybe it's their husband, maybe it's their situation. They're not really looking within. But they're getting, the circumstances are bringing them closer and closer to looking within.
Oh, I would agree. I mean, people who maybe are somewhat open but are very caught up in their world or their job and their family. They don't have a lot of time to, at least they don't make the time or whatever, to kind of explore this side of things. But they're open to the ideas of it. I notice that those people, they are saying, wow, just so much stuff is coming up lately. I was going to work the other day on the train and I'm crying. And I don't know what that's about. And, why is all this stuff coming up now? It does seem like there's definitely a bit of a purging going on. And I think it is so important for us to allow these things to come up and be recognized, bring them to the light, and maybe even do like the Anelia Benz fear processing exercise is an excellent way to deal with these deep, dark emotions that are so troubling that are coming up right now. So to allow the source light come through you and shine onto that dark part of you and really bring it into the light and make it bigger and bigger and bigger. And I think then you can see how these fears, so many of these fears or these issues are just illusions and almost like memories from the past, and that they have no power unless we give them power. But I think the important thing is to be fully conscious of it. If we're unconscious, if we're just going through the motions and we're just kind of robotic about life, then we still will get caught up into a lot of drama and difficulty. And clearly that you see that happening around. Both as consciousness explosion, people evolving, and then people also perhaps devolving at the same time.
It's getting harder and harder to ignore it, though. It's getting harder and harder to ignore it. Because we're all programmed to some extent. What I mean by programmed is we act unconsciously almost. I lost my birth certificate, couldn't find my passport, getting ready to plan a trip. I was going through everything wildly. And then I was overtaken by, oh my God, I can't find it. Oh my God, I've ruined this for everyone. Oh, I always do that. And then this old programming, and I had to stop it. I say, what? You just can't find something. Everything can be replaced. Everything is fine. Why is this happening to you right now? This situation has got to be mirroring something, some kind of chaotic feeling that you're having within you right now. Let's process this. Let's look at it. It's very hard. I remember telling you when I told you I couldn't find my passport. I said, I'm so upset about it. I'm trying to ask my guide. I just can't even calm down to even listen to the answer. And as I was saying it to you, as I was bringing it out, I was actually feeling better. And I was actually looking at just, okay. But I went into the same, but my point, I unconsciously went into the same frenzy that I would go into in the past, unconsciously, looking for things, taking it apart. You know, my thoughts then were going to, look at this, I've ruined the trip for everyone, and look at me, I messed up again. All these kind of thoughts that didn't really match. It was almost like I was addicted to the emotion. We're addicted to a particular emotion, whether it be the emotion of shame, whether it be not good enough, whatever it is. And then our situations, based on our thoughts, recreated. And it's so old paradigm. It is so old paradigm. It's such old news. It's harder and harder to do that once you know better.
Well, yeah, you know, it's almost like it becomes more ridiculous. You could see it. Like you said, it's so old paradigm. It just doesn't fit anymore with the vision that we are holding of ourselves, and we're creating our life by, you know, imagining the best things for ourselves and then taking actions towards those goals. And part of that is just to keep yourself on a high vibration and stay as happy and as joyful as you can for as long as you can. And, you know, that might sound to some people like wishful thinking, and I would just say to those people that they probably haven't tried it, you know, because when you do take on that mindset of like, okay, like you did, didn't take you very long, did it? You expressed your feelings, and I also did say to you, you know, breathe. I do that too, and you're very easy to bring back to center like that, though, you know. And I think so. Maybe we do need another person, somebody close, a friend that we can talk to, or our partners, or even a journal, or like you were talking to yourself. You're talking to yourself like your own counselor. So I think we have to remember to be that kind, good, almost like a good parent to ourselves, instead of being that punishing person. Oh, you did it again? You're always doing this kind of thing. But that is what happens when we're bringing up these old patterns. You know, it's very obvious. Like I said, it's almost ridiculous. It just does not fit anymore.
True about what we spin out right now is what we're creating. And this is a very, very critical time. We do have the summer solstice coming up on June 20th. That's a huge date, DJ. Right before it, the day before it, we have the new moon in Cancer, which is also the ultimate in feminine, the ultimate mother sign, the ultimate feminine sign we're coming into on the 19th. And then we have this summer solstice, and the period between now, the period between May 20th and the period of the summer solstice, June 20th, is quick manifestation. And it really does happen. You were talking about a witness or somebody to hear it, and you were talking to me the other day about what you wrote in your journal 7 months ago about what you wanted to have.
Yeah, it was basically, I've done this for a long time. I really love writing in my journal. It feels very safe. And so I like to do that, to write about the future as if it's happening in the here and now. And so I took my ideal future. I wrote, that I have a healing center, a retreat center. I wrote all about that. I said I'm also the host of a radio show. It was a little different. It was called Cosmic Rays Radio. So the names have changed. But I even said I've interviewed Anelia Benz and Neil Kramer, and both of those things have happened to me. I wrote that I feel very passionate. I feel happy that I'm doing these things. And it really has come true, and it's so nice to be able to look back and see when we do have these thoughts. And the important thing is when you're thinking about the future from the present moment as if it's already happened, it's very important to be in a good space. You can't be in an anxious space. You can't be thinking negatively or angrily about the future. You have to be, first of all, in a pretty calm or happy or joyful time, and then imagining the future and just allowing yourself to enjoy it, and imagining yourself talking to those people or whatever it is that you want to bring into manifestation. And I'm sure you have done this too, Helene.
Everything we're told not to do, everything we're supposed to be, we're almost programmed to worry about the future, to be able to pinpoint everything that could go wrong so you could have the control to stop it. We don't always have that control. We need to imagine the best, envision the best. It's so true.
And yet it's very challenging when you're in a place or a time where things are not exactly going as you had wanted them to go, and there's stress in your life, and you're going through a transition. And it seems like that can happen at any point in your life. But certainly when you're in a stressful time, it's hard to take your mind away from that. And I also use a tool that I've found very helpful for me is to kind of, instead of staying down on the ground where I am, where it's very hard to get a sense of perspective, I just imagine myself floating high above my head, almost like an eagle or a hawk. And I say, you have to rise up above the situation and keep, pulling up, zooming out so that you can get a better look at how things really are. Because when you look at things almost like, when you're talking to a friend or a counselor or a therapist, they can see the situation much easier than you can because you're right in the middle of it. So we can use our own powers of imagination to pull ourselves out of our situation, to really take a good look at it. And then you don't feel the same sense of pain because really the emotional pain is in our bodies. Our bodies are the vehicle in this lifetime, and they're the things that allow us to feel all these emotions. Our soul is not feeling these emotions. Once we're out of the body, that's it. It's not like you can't remember feelings or present yourself to people as if how you used to be. Say you've moved on and you're now no longer incarnated. I do think that we can present ourselves to people to remind them of who we were. To show them a little bit of what our ego is like. But I think that it is hard when we're caught up in those feelings and we're so in the body and we're so in this moment and we're thinking about the past and we're worrying about the future. And it can be really hard and very challenging to break out of that. But this time, as you were saying, Helene, this time frame now, didn't you say everything is speeding up right now?
It is.
So Yeah, so things are going to come to us much quicker. Like you said, you have to be mindful of what you say, because as you say things, they're going to come to you much faster. It's the manifestation time is not going to be so long. And maybe there's something about time changing. It's becoming more pliable. It's not so static anymore, because really time is just a construct. And an illusion. It's an organizing construct that we use to get through this life here, this 3D life here on Earth. But as we're coming out of the 3D, as we're coming out of this dualistic polarity, of course, time, which is one of the main structures that keep us held into this reality, is going to change.
Well, basically, the biggest difference, or what we're going to encounter, we have always been in the old paradigm under the belief that we had to take the right action to make something happen, and everything was about the action we take. We needed to run around here, and it's true that there is some action that we always have to take, but the first thing that has to happen has to be a solid thought and the creation with your mind of what you're wanting, to be very clear about what you're wanting so that it can come to you. Because a lot of us are not sure what we want. And in the old paradigm, there was a great dependency. We were looking to everything outside of ourselves. I'm not ready to do this. I need more education. I need to seek a doctor or some medical help or something outside of me to let me know what's going on with me. I need to ask advice from everybody or look at the opinions of others so that I can make my decisions. And that's what we fall back on when we're in a tizzy. I don't know what to do. Somebody tell me what to do. I don't know what to do. And that is old. We can think about what we want first, what the outcome we want to have first. And I'm going to tell you, a lot of light workers are coming together and doing these group meditations. I saw Mirabai Devi has this, where she's doing now these big, everybody meditates together, imagining, the new paradigm and bringing in the divine feminine and the earth and the experience on earth that we want it. We were thinking another person who's doing that is Nelia Benz. I know every Wednesday she has a meditation that everybody get together and join in on. She's even having a giant meditation on July 2nd, Monday, July 2nd, all day long, where people are thinking about the earth infused with light and the brightest possible future, everybody all together. And this is like, we're back to that 100th monkey theory. If even a large group of powerful people awaken and evolve, it'll almost carry on through consciousness. Maybe for our listeners, maybe you could explain what that 100th monkey theory is again.
Well, as I understood it, there was some island in the Pacific where some of the monkeys started to perhaps wash some of the food off maybe, and I think you had even said it was like a sweet potato thing or a tuber kind of plant that they would eat. And they never used to do that before. And then one of the monkeys or several of the monkeys started to wash these things off before they ate them. And then all around different places, totally disconnected from there, monkeys also started washing the sweet potatoes before they ate them. So the idea is that we're all connected in this field, in this web of consciousness, so that when one person does something, it does create kind of, it goes out as a signal to others, and other people are picking up on it and doing the same thing. And that's exactly what you said, that will happen when people come together. And I think one person can certainly have an effect, but the more and more people that follow along and start to plug into their consciousness and actually speak out and do whatever it is they need to do, whatever creative thing or processing thing in some way. Now, I know that Inelia says you don't really need to do anything in some ways. You just need to be. But I do think it's also important for those of us who feel compelled to speak or compelled to create and share that is what we need to do. So, going along with the messages that we're getting, again, going back to living in the heart, whatever the messages that you're getting, we need to follow those and continue to do what feels right for us. And it is a time where I see a huge change having taken place just in this last year and a half. It seems like so many more people are aware of things, and it's growing exponentially, this consciousness evolution.
Now, people could bypass. Now, I know that we have been on this road a while, and we have gone through a lot of people. We spent a lot of time listening to David Icke and a lot of conspiracy-based theorists, and we've looked at what's going on with Monsanto and what's going on with HAARP, and people don't even need to necessarily look at the why our situation is crumbling and why it has to change. They might just catch on to this new wave of consciousness and have some kind of transcendental experience and realize, I just want to explore my purpose. They don't need to know all the whys. They just have to know that this is how I feel right now. And so there are a lot of all roads lead to Rome, because we are headed there. But, and you said something about like last year. I mean, that was the actual shift. That was the actual shift, August 2011. And I'd noticed, a lot of people were, look at Lucha Renee. She had that big video out about how she was a light warrior and mystically addressing some of the darker figures or some of the darker people in our existence and using mysticism. And a lot of people were talking in those terms. We don't see that. And even Anelia said in our last Cosmic Current, there is no battle anymore. There is no battle. I'm not raising the vibrational level of the planet when I'm in battle and even addressing things in those terms, because we have shifted. As it's getting clearer and clearer to me when I watch YouTube videos, what makes me feel comfortable and what makes me feel wrong. And we were talking about that. Here I once adored Dolores Cannon, but then when she said the earth wants to shake us off like a dog shakes off fleas, that didn't feel right. That felt wrong. Gaia loves us. That kind of misinformation would make people think, well, who cares about our earth anyway if they want to shake us off like a bunch of fleas? That doesn't feel good. Or the last Drunvalo Melchizedek video with Lilu. What was that called again? Do you remember the name of?
Yeah, hold on a second. Name of video, Drunvalo Melchizedek, crop circles, Russians, coming solar flares, use your discernment through the heart. That was Lilu Masse's title for it.
He tells people to go through the heart. He doesn't say how. He says, well, women don't know what to do. Men won't, because we're different. And then he says a lot of things that make you feel like it's the end of the world. It feels almost scary. I was left with, what does this mean? We're all dead? And I had to process that afterward. Somebody I adore, I love him. I love his energy.
I know.
And why? So we have to take from everybody, even who we think is very, very good, we have to take from it what we like, and we have to process our feelings around the parts that we don't necessarily think are true. It's a new paradigm where we're actually thinking about how something makes us feel and embracing it if it feels good.
Or I would say maybe like noticing how you're feeling and tuning into your body. Because sometimes when we're staying in our heads, in our minds, it's hard to know what your feelings even are. There's like a disconnect there. So I think the fact that we're moving more into the heart is supposed to enable us to be able to understand what our intuition is telling us, what our connection to Source is really telling us. Because that's what it's about, Helene, isn't it? I mean, it's about the fact that, and I know that different people have said this, even Barbara Marciniak, Bringers of the Dawn, the Pleiadians were saying that at some point we're not even going to need to go to a channeling session or go to a psychic, because we'll be given the information ourselves. We will be clear channels, able to access all this divine information on our own. And even right now, we can do that. I think, though, that when we're caught up in emotions, it's hard to let that channel be open, even for yourself, who is you're the best psychic that I know. And still, when you're in a moment of feeling bad and your old patterns are coming up, your channel is not as open. So, we're all like this. And yet, when you're in a moment of feeling relaxed and peaceful, things come to you. You're not even trying. You're not even asking to do a session, and you have thoughts coming to you.
Stepping away, kind of like you were saying, and thinking about, why is this happening for us?
Well, and it all comes down to judgment, doesn't it? It's judgment of self, judgment of other. And if we're going to be more evolved spiritual beings they're channeling divine source, we really can't stay in a place of judgment.
Yeah.
And again, going back to Anelia Benz, she is a wonderful example of that. Even when she was doing the light warrior work, working with these negative entities, there, a part of her ego wanted to say, "Oh, that bad person, you should have done something to them." But, she had to say, but Source has no judgment. So it's just an issue of being a channel for the Source energy to come through to transmute the negativity in the other. And that's why we all we can't completely shut ourselves off from the world and the negativity that exists, even though we may feel like we want to. And when you're going through a spiritual journey, and this brings me back to, I'd like if we could talk a little bit about Jeff Foster.
I would love to, actually, because you were saying about judgment. And as long as you're judging, as long as there's good and bad and right and wrong, and as he said, left and right, or any kind of duality, we're not in singularity consciousness of accepting yourself as a divine being. What was that video he had? He says, "What's wrong with right now? What's wrong with right now?
Exactly.
Here I am on the couch enjoying
this
moment.
What's wrong with this?
What's wrong with this? And
just being here, sitting on the
sofa. Nothing is wrong with this.
Well, I think the important thing, and I felt so connected to, and you had turned me on to his work, and I felt instantly met by his message, because he talks about how many years he spent seeking. And I think this is actually in one of the interviews he did with Lilu from the Juicy Living Tour, that he was saying, 3 years he spent reading everything he could, reading Osho, looking into the Bhagavad Gita and all of the old ancient texts and the new things, and still the enlightenment did not come. And it was almost when he gave up trying to be enlightened and just said, what is wrong with this just being? And that is when, I guess, he wrote his book. And he has such a powerful sense of peace. That's what I noticed. After listening to him, and that night and the next day, I just felt really good. And I felt like everything's going to be okay.
Me too, actually. He had an energy to him that made me feel good. It raised my vibration just listening to him. Something amazing he said also. He was looking for, as he was doing all this research, he was looking for the right teacher, somebody to teach him, somebody to tell him what to do and what to think, and there was no such person. It all was in him, was all in him. Many of us are on a search looking for who to believe, and what we believe is what resonates and feels good to us, and that's where we need to leave it, where we need to leave it and take with us what we want and let go of the rest. And we could have many teachers, but there's not just one person that we're under that we follow blindly anymore. We don't just follow I feel very uncomfortable following a medical doctor blindly. I wouldn't take advice from somebody from the bank about how to manage money. I would actually look into it. It's getting harder and harder to look outside of ourselves for what we need to do and what kind of message, about where we're headed, and I like that too. It's just something about him, though, that energy. Yeah, Jeff Foster.
Jeff Foster, yeah. He's an English guy. I think he's pretty young, maybe like 27 or 28, you know.
Yeah.
Mhm. And it's impressive to see. And I think that it seems like a lot of people from England, as well as the United States, are becoming spiritual speakers. They're talking about this movement or the conspiracy. It's a lot of people coming out of Great Britain and America and Canada. I don't know why, but these countries specifically, and maybe it's, I don't know what it is about it, but it's very interesting to me. And I think that here we are talking about what we like about other people, other people's messages, how we take this information in and use it for our own betterment. And I would say that we're quite the seekers. And so it was interesting to me to listen to him and think, so I'm doing all this seeking, and perhaps I need to relax a little more and not continuously look to others to give me that little nugget of information, that knowledge that I feel, if I only have this knowledge, then I'll be able to do that thing.
Mm-hmm.
With this tool, I'll feel better. And really, it is all inside of us. And we have to just relax and, calm down.
There's a twofold thing, because sometimes masters are meant to unite. And when you're putting it out there because you want to attract like-minded souls that share many of your beliefs and can even take you to the next level in your belief system because it's your choice to do so, then it's nice to seek people out. But when we follow people blindly, like I said, for a while it took me, the Dolores Cannon thing, I had loved her, and then I had to sit on that vision that she created in my mind of the Earth kind of going into two, and she was very unclear. Are there two Earths? Is there a new Earth? I want to be part of the new Earth. I don't want to be part of the old Earth. It makes you feel, again, that's still duality consciousness. There's a good Earth and a bad Earth. I want to be on the good Earth. And already it's setting that up, but I didn't. It went over my head because I was blindly listening to her up to a certain point. And then I thought a minute and I said, shaking off like a dog shakes off fleas, it feels wrong. That's not what our Mother Earth wants to do. I love Mother Earth. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful to be here now. I'm so grateful to be one of her children. Our physical bodies are made up of all the parts of the earth that are here. There's water in us, and there's all kinds of other things in fabric, and the fiber of the earth is what her children, us, are made of. She doesn't hate us and want to shake us off.
Yeah. I know, so that's interesting, like that whole disinformation issue, because a lot of the information that she offers is good.
Yes.
Helpful.
Yes. So good that then when these pieces of poison are planted in a 3-course gourmet meal, you as you're digesting it, something feels wrong, but you're not sure what. And so we really have to. It's wonderful to listen and to be. I spotted Jeff Foster on Lilu's page, on Lilu's Facebook page. I think she posted that interview, and a lot of fabulous people have just come our way or come into our scope, just from our desire to seek out new wisdom and knowledge to add on to what we already know, to have some of the questions about the meaning of our lives answered. I mean, we're trying to figure out, why are we here? What are we supposed to do? How are we supposed to make a difference? Why was I born? What am I?
What are you?
What am I? I mean, if you asked me while I was in high school, I would have told you I'm not a very fast runner. I'm not the best student. I would have told you I'm not the best at all. If maybe you asked my previous employer at my 3D job, my 3D sales job I had, I certainly wasn't the best then either. So, I mean, all those answers have to come from within us, but we have to seek the tools and then listen to find out if these tools are right for us.
So that's an interesting point. So in terms of seeking the tools, you know, I'm actually going to be putting out my interview with Neil Kramer that I did on my other radio show called Whole Earth Healing Radio. And in it, he talks about media a lot. And he was saying how if you just do a basic search for something, it's very controlled. So what he was suggesting is that we kind of create, through a community of people, of cool, interesting people, we all have our different things that we would recommend or movies that we really like, and we basically should share, like have our own alternative storehouse for media that we share with each other. And I think that's kind of taking it out of the hands of the powers that were, so to speak. I mean, we can't forget the fact that YouTube and Google are basically the same company.
Mm-hmm.
And as much as we love YouTube and we use it for our betterment, if you're just an average Joe looking on YouTube, you'd go to the most viewed videos. It's really, it's like the basest level of humanity. And it's even worse than, I mean, it'd be like going on the TV and watching a commercial for Girls Gone Wild or something. I mean, it's basically like that. It's a bunch of idiotic things, you know, sexuality, rampant.
Combo of distractions and scary stuff. Everybody knows this is a highly powerful time to be around. Everybody's talking about 2012, but some people, you know, are attracted to the dangerous Armageddon-style videos of how, you know, one vision of how it's going to end, and many of those videos are on there. Some of the kind of, well, it's an Armageddon, well, it's the end of the world, well, it's the end, well, now all the people that have been wrong are going to be sorry, you know, and you know, so there's these, some of them are destructive, some of them are just idiotic to distract you. But, you know, there are some channels like that. Like, isn't there, there's the GIC.org, the Global Illumination Council. They have a bunch of videos of that sort. There's the Federation of Light.ning.com. That's another pretty good one. And then Mindbook is okay. Mindbook doesn't change their featured videos very much. People add them in, but not a lot of care seems to be where the Federation of Light, they're really actually looking at the videos and approving them after. And they have some people that actually watch it, and they will not let trash or spam. They won't accept that video.
Right. You know, and so that's a really good example of people, like-minded people coming together and sharing information. And, you know, the more and more, I mean, was this existing just a couple of years ago? I'm not
I don't
sure.
think so. Well, Global Illumination, I think he started right around the shift in the summer of 2011, or maybe a little bit sooner. That was Dr. Bernard Alvarez, who put together the Global Illumination, I think, Council. Is that what they call that? So I just know it's the GIC.org. So he put this together. He's an interesting fella, and he's had videos. I saw at the beginning of 2010, Dr. Bernard Alvarez had a video about preparing for the new eon with getting ready for the divine feminine. You have Laura Magdalene Eisenhower has been talking about the divine feminine and channeling Mary Magdalene for years as well. There was this recent video from Lilu. Yeah, this video. It was on Lilu. Her name was Kathleen.
McGowan. Kathleen
McGowan. She had said that she was actually she did this video in France, and she said that she was from the sacred bloodline, that the Magdalene line, the Magdalene bloodline, and she believed that she's a self-proclaimed descendant of the union between Jesus and Mary Magdalene, and that's basically in an attempt over the last 5,000 or so years to discredit the feminine side or the divine feminine or the intuition. I mean, after all, then there wouldn't be war. There wouldn't be a lot of these money-making, and there wouldn't be the power and control, aggression aspects that we see with the masculine-dominated society or masculine-dominated
paradigm.
Exactly, thank you. And what she was saying really pretty much was that history was hidden from us, that she was actually a very, very, very powerful person in France, settled there, and was even part of Jesus' resurrection. I don't know. That was an interesting video. Did you see that one?
Oh, yeah. So you were saying that she said Mary Magdalene ended up moving to the south of France. And then I guess what I remember her saying was that she actually got quite a few followers and people there. And that is why in France there is actually more of an honoring of the divine feminine. And they were actually standing outside of a church in Paris. And I can't remember the name of the church right now, but it had many statues and symbols of Mary Magdalene there, and that there was an honoring of her, which has actually been either misrepresented or completely, the history has just been wiped out now in the common knowledge of people. I mean, how many people know that much about this? Even us, we only learned about it within the past month or so.
Yeah, a couple of months. That's really it.
And, I would like to review that video again or look more into, the whole thing is this woman's an author, and she's written a series of books. And her books, one of them, the first one is called The Expected One, and that came out in 1989, focusing on the role of Mary Magdalene. And she self-published in 2005. So then she has, I think, 3 more books, and they're a combination of fiction and fact. So
and I think
sounds like an
the way that she got away with The Expected One back in 1989 was it was a nonfiction book, so there was a lot of truth around it, but it didn't have to be based on pure, it was a story, but a story that had a lot of truth, kind of like the Celestine Prophecy. A seemingly made-up story that had a very strong spiritual message. That one was about synchronicity. So that was way back when. Yeah,
it's interesting. I mean, maybe that's the whole thing about the divine feminine or the feminine energy in general. It's more, it can be more subtle, more gentle, not a need to compete with others.
We're supposed to be that way with ourselves, more gentle. That's how we're supposed to treat ourselves, not to mention other people. Remember that Abraham video where Abraham says, you didn't say, that's you stupid baby, get up, when the child was learning to walk.
Right, exactly.
So you don't speak that, that doesn't make sense. It's okay, try again, and it's just a much more gentle approach. And we really are, in thinking about this new age is the age of the divine feminine. Things are changing. Every institution is going to crumble because we're in a new age where the power and control struggle, when the age of dependency, the age of aggression is over. And I mean, I see a beautiful, beautiful future for the earth and all of the people on it. I mean, that this is how I think.
Well, and that certainly makes you feel a lot better too.
It does.
To take in that. It makes me feel better just hearing you say it. I'm like, oh, you could feel it in your heart. You could feel it in your body when information is shared. If it feels like it makes you feel good or it just makes you feel bad, like sick to your stomach, kind of like that Dolores Cannon thing.
Yeah. And it's we're supposed to feel good now so that we can create beautiful things because our heart is resonating at a frequency. Every single beat of our heart is giving out an electromagnetic current that radiates at the speed of light and goes out, and it's a very powerful thing, and every human being on the earth has a say. And we've almost been hoodwinked by just a few in power. That's why I found it to be a beautiful thing that now everybody was protesting the Bilderbergs. People were aware of it. People that had never heard of it. I mean, there were hundreds of thousands of people watching Alex Jones's video of them infiltrating the Bilderbergs in Chantilly, Virginia. Which is, again, we want to have a say in our future, and we will. But one thing we do have control over is our thoughts. When we imagine a beautiful future, when we see the beauty in our own lives, we are creating a beautiful future because the now is beautiful.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And, so that's what I would wish for people, that they can have that sense of peace to create the future that they really want. There's been somebody who is a caller who's been waiting, I believe, to ask a question. Yeah, I mean, there were a few. Now there's a couple still here. I'm wondering if we should take the call and see what they have to say. Okay.
Let's give it a whirl. Let's see who's here with us.
All right, let's do this. Hello? Hello, are you with us? Caller 714. Okay. 714 number, are you with us?
Hello?
Hi, I'm actually just listening into your show. It's really, really interesting.
Oh, okay, great. What is your name? Carlos. Well, thank you so much for joining in and listening to our show.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Thanks for all the awesome information that you guys are just putting in out there. I really resonate with a lot of the things that you've mentioned, and it's just great kind of having a like-mind with you ladies.
I love that. I love that because the more of us there are, the more the collective consciousness will change. The more of us there are, and the more that we join together, and I'm so glad you called, and I'm so glad you listened and tapped in, because it spreads like a ripple in a pond. Positive vibrations spread like a ripple in a pond, and we can only create beautiful things this way. So it's so nice, and it's such a nice thing that you called and wanted to let us know that you were tuned in and you enjoyed our show and resonated with us. That means a lot to me.
Yeah, me too. So thank you so much, Carlos. I hope you have a beautiful day.
You too.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. What a nice guy. That was so nice.
That is so nice. Oh, yeah, he's been with us since the beginning of the show, I think.
You see, love begets love. He had a loving side. That makes, and it just fuels us up to want to put out a positive message that will make a difference, because everybody here has the same innate mission, and that is to help other people awaken and evolve as we're helping our own selves awaken and evolve. And that's our mission. And so that's beautiful.
Yeah, that's nice. Well, there was another caller, and now they're gone. So, yeah. So
that's a sign that we should wrap it up, but we'll be back again next Wednesday at 1 o'clock Eastern. Cosmic Current has turned into just a wonderful thing in my life, too, and I'm so grateful to be doing this show with you, CJ.
Me too, and it's such an interesting time. When is the end of this? You said that, was it on the 20th that things are?
Yeah, we're manifesting things very quickly, and then on the 20th of June, it'll kind of shift back into, well, we're going to astrologically switch gears into something a little bit different, but that's a story in and of itself. As far as this manifesting period right now, this is going only until the 20th, and where things are sped to the degree it is right now. This is a pocket of time.
Which is our next show.
Which is our next show.
Yeah, our next show is on the 20th, so.
Oh, how powerful.
Synchronistic time, yeah. I
love it. Well, for those of our listeners that are interested in getting in touch with me, you can find me on www.insightsbyhelene.com, INSIGHTS.com. For those of you who want to call in, I'm having a show. I do my own show, Embracing What is Real. And I am going to be taking callers on the 19th, which is the new moon, the beginning of a new cycle, getting ready for the summer solstice. And I am going to be taking callers and answering any kind of questions psychically and astrologically to bring on the spirit of blessing. And I'm excited about that. So that's the 19th. Of course, we're coming up on the 20th. And again, www.insightsbyhelene.com is where to find me.
So when exactly is that show? What time, Helene?
That is the 19th at 2 o'clock. And I am going to have callers, 2 o'clock in the afternoon Eastern time on the 19th, which is a Tuesday, on Embracing What's Real. And and that will be an opportunity. I do this for a living anyway. I do readings, and I am an astrologer. But in the spirit of giving, in the spirit of helping others awaken and evolve, and also showcase my own gifts and talents, that's when I'm doing it, on the 19th, the new moon, when people are starting anew. Yeah.
Excellent. So I'm looking forward to hearing that one. And if people want to get in touch with me and find out more about Whole Earth Healing, you can go to my website at wholeearthhealing.com. My name is CJ Miller, and I also have a new show called Whole Earth Healing Radio, where I do interviews and discussions with some of the most inspiring minds of today. Check it out. It's also on Blog Talk Radio. So it's just been great to be here with you today, Helene, and with all of our listeners. And I'd say keep going on with all the good stuff that you're doing. So thank you.
And you too. Well, thank you. Love, light, and blessings to all. Have a beautiful day. Namaste.
Namaste.